In your experience, why do so many organizations frame this decision as an either or? And how should they reframe it?
I love this question. I think the first thing is that there are lots of different places that we're having to look at this. Like I said before, right? When we were talking about cloud and infrastructure, how do we build it? Like this is as old as time. Like, do I buy all my PCs or do I build them because I know how to put boards in? Right? The build versus buy is kind of fundamental to IT and to technology. But as we've moved away from how do we build or buy, like what are those discussions around our infrastructure, our platforms, our security, and we've started getting into applications, especially applications that are purpose built for function. So whether it's marketing automation, CRM, contact center, service desk, when we start to look at those platforms, we're in this mindset of, oh, I have to customize everything. I can buy it and then I got to customize everything because that's the legacy that we've had since the dawn of time, right? I'm going to buy it, I'm going to do all this stuff. And when we look back on that stuff, that customization, it's cost a lot of money, right? That's been a very, very expensive thing, especially if you're talking about legacy on-prem solutions, right? Where everything had to be tweaked and everything had to be just right. And it was really costly. You brought in 7 different consultants and 3 different SIs to do it. A lot of people still have the memory of that. So they start to position things in that binary, we're going to build or we're going to buy, because the buying, we remember how painful that was. So maybe building's going to be better. But we also have a mindset shift that has kind of come over us as organizations where things are always binary. I give the example of if someone is a product centric organization or if someone is a customer centric organization, right? And I think that when we talk about those things, we tend to think of like, oh, I'm a customer centric organization. And what that means is I've written, we are obsessed with our customers, like on the wall of the virtual cafeteria somewhere. And we pay homage to that idea and whatever. But the idea of a customer centric organization is that everything you do is in service and reaction to the customer. If the customer wants it, I'm going to go build it, right? And say how you probably see this a lot with your teams, right? Like if we're being asked to be a customer-centric technology organization, that means that we look at the punch list of everything that our users have ever wanted, and that's what we prioritize, because if the customer wants it, needs it, deserves it, that's what we're going to go do. We're not a product centric company because we care about our customers. We don't. That's that we mold our product around our customer. But the reality is that there are product centric organizations out there that innovate and they push and they are ahead of everyone. I mean, no one sat back a couple of years ago and said, gosh, I wish there was a commercial way that I could go to a website and ask something called a chat GPT to break up with my boyfriend in a sonnet that sounds like it's sung by Jay-Z. Like no one actually thought that about OpenAI, right? Yet here it is. Here's ChatGPT. But so when you start to think about, okay, do I want to be the customer? Do I want to be that reactive customer centric organization? Or do I want to constantly keep pushing my product forward? I want to keep building and I want to keep innovating and moving and advancing. We get really excited about that, being in that posture, because that means we're trailblazers, we're inventing. I'm Dyson, right? I'm Dyson. I've made the best vacuum cleaner that no one ever thought I needed for $400. But wait, there's more. Right? Now I've created a blow dryer that no one ever thought they needed from a vacuum company that also makes fans, that makes the air things in the bathroom that you dry your hands on, and now makes a hair dryer that I can't live without for $400. That is a product centric company, right? They keep innovating when no one asks them to. So build versus buy is in that same continuum of two good things, but on opposite poles. Here's the funny story. You can be both, right? You can be a product centric company and a customer centric company, right? There are lots of examples of that. Patagonia is a tremendous example of that, right? They innovate, they push the needle. They're like, let me get this fluffier so the jacket is thinner and warmer. Let me find new ways that people can enjoy the outdoors with all these tools and grappling hooks. You can tell that I don't buy any of those products from Patagonia right now, can't you? Because I don't know what to call them. But they invent those, right? They innovate with those, but they also listen intensely to their customers and they create products for their customers. They create experiences and engagements for their customer. And while they might not create physical product in reaction to customer all the time, they're sure creating systems and destinations and communities and experiences in reaction to and specifically for their customer.
Yeah.
They build and they buy. They're product centric and they're customer centric. And I think that once we get past the initial stigma of like, no, it's really efficient to buy, that's why I'm only going to do that, versus I'm super innovative, so I'm going to build, or it's cheaper to build now, but it's less to. Once we get out of that kind of binary, polarized thinking, it opens up the opportunity to actually be like, ooh, what were the business needs? What were the business outcomes? And how do I intensely focus on how I satisfy those that are coming both from the business, but also from the customer and the market and our partners and our teams?
Yeah. And what I like most about kind of reading between the lines a little bit of what you're saying is, you know, it's build and buy, but based on the DNA of the company, right? If you're product centric,
100%.
you have so much passion and there's so much DNA embedded in that versus customer centric. And so it's understanding, where you meet the end of the line and then determining, I will build, but I
Yeah.
will buy when, why, how, and how much, right? And then that goes back to your characteristics. So you're never giving away what you are around to do, right? Because that
Yeah.
passion is never going to be replicated, right? A vendor will always have the passion with you, but that is so deep in the DNA. But they will help you do all of the other things that are maybe outside of your characteristics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also accounts for not all company, yeah, like not all company cultures are the same. Not all company goals are the same, but not all company sizes are the same. I mean, it'd be great if everyone just fit into a cookie cutter, right? Like, but let's be honest about like the buy versus build. If you decide like, no, I've heard and I've done the math and build is cheaper than buy.